Welcome to today's episode of Wellness Wednesdays. I am excited to have in our virtual studio today, Jacquelyn S. Dalton. Welcome, Jacquelyn.
Thank you.
Now, you know that I am so familiar with your background and your work, so I have to say thank you for taking time to be here because you are very busy doing things on the front line of the community.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate being invited. So yeah, that's really nice of you to say.
We have viewers all around the world. Tell them a little about your background and all of the amazing things that you do, if we can fit it in one episode.
Okay. Well, I have to say I'm a native Middle Tennessean, originally from Columbia, Tennessee. So I have to start there. I also have a background in public health. And I received my undergrad degree from Fisk University. So I have to give a shout out to the Fiskites. And I got my master's degree in public health from TSU. So shout out to the Big Blue as well. Currently, yes. So
I was about to say, which one
pride, it runs deep. It runs deep.
That's what I was about to say. Like, so that's like a competing rivalry. So, like, which side? I mean, do we go foundation with Fisk? Do we go? I don't know, because this is a big thing for you to have both.
Yes. Well, I do have to say is Fisk forever. You know, that's where I started out. So I have to say Fisk forever. But nothing beats the grad school at TSU. So I will say, if you have an opportunity to go there to get a graduate degree, please do so. They are, if not the best in the country, maybe they're even the best in the world. They have some of the greatest programs.
All right, WHBCU. You've heard it first from Jacquelyn S. Dalton. Do both. All right, back to what you were saying.
Yeah, so in my day job, I'm the director of community engagement at the national nonprofit Health Leads. Health Leads is an organization that really focuses on pushing the needle forward on health equity within the healthcare sector. And so all of the work that we do revolves around the social determinants of health and advancing those alongside community partnerships or community leaders. So we really want to help to uplift the community, making sure that they have the needs that they have the resources that they need, whether that's, access to transportation, access to quality services. Is it helping to support having more doulas in the community to further maternal health? All right. Is it food security that we need? So we really come alongside our community partners, help to uplift them in the sector, and talk to some of these healthcare systems about how did they partner with these community-based organizations and community-based leaders better, such that we are able to move the needle forward on health equity. Along those lines, I also do quite a bit of civic engagement in our local Nashville and Tennessee community. And for the past 3 years, maybe going on 4 years, I've been involved with our local NAACP at the Nashville branch and also at the state level, to really, as the health chair and health co-chair at the state level, to really help further our community's health. Of course, we are focused on people of color and helping to make sure that people of color have what they need to thrive. And it's sometimes hard to help folks focus on health with all of the different issues that come up in the community on a day-to-day, right? So folks are sometimes worried, especially in these last 2 years, more so worried about, what job do I have? Where am I going to live at? How am I going to pay for this bill? Rather than thinking about their well-being and their mental health, right? And so I really want to help to make sure that we continue to center well-being in our day-to-day. So that's some of the work that I do there. I'm also involved with our Tennessee Healthcare Campaign on their board and the Tennessee Kidney Foundation's board as well. And I do some, I do a little side hustle. I got a little consulting going on the side here and there, different things, building out strategies around health and community engagement, just different trainings around cultural humility. I just did one of those today with a group of researchers, and just things that I'm really passionate about, and really enjoy working with others on how can they really build up that skill set and capacity within their work so that they are moving the needle again on health equity and well-being.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So many things that you're doing, so many things I want to talk about. Now, I'm going to make sure that before we end today's episode that you share all of your information on how people can get in touch with you. But for right now, let's jump to COVID-19, the pandemic. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that it was an opportunity to learn new skills, even brush up on old ones, but also reimagine the possibilities. What are your thoughts on that? And what are some things that you observed?
Right. Well, one, I don't think that we say this enough about the pandemic, is just taking a moment to honor and remember all of those that were lost during the pandemic, all the things that were lost, all the loss that we had. So I just want to first recognize that before I go on to your question. Now, thinking about the things that we did to cope with some of that loss, right? Some of that time where we were isolated. One of the things that I began to do, and I really had to channel my grandmother, who's no longer with us, but channel her, the memory and the times that I had with her around gardening. And, you know, being in the South, my grandmother had a huge garden. She was growing everything. And I actually learned how to do some indoor gardening. I and also began this love for, and I guess my husband might say it's a craze, but a love for houseplants. And yes, so I began to learn about just the lighting, the growth periods, the times of year, the different plants, the plants that grow in low light, plants that grow in bright sunlight or direct light. And I even began to grow some of my own herbs. Currently, I have thyme, basil, some sage. We're getting into Thanksgiving, so I'm hoping to use some of my own herbs. But just really taking the time to enjoy doing something that I really, I've always found interesting, but I really kind of furthered my knowledge of houseplants and the different types of growth environments. Plants have their own feelings. You could even talk to plants. It might make them grow better. So I really took some time to learn about planting, indoor gardening, and houseplants. And that's really been something that I've really enjoyed doing. I kind of throw myself into when I'm done with work, and in that free time that I have done some indoor gardening and house planting.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you bring up, a great point, because COVID was a time of loss, and we say it as if it's past tense, but we're still going through the long-term effects of this series of new normals. And I tell people, I'm not sure that I know anyone who is the same as they were when they went in, coming out of it, because it's forced all of us to reimagine, our time, nutrition. A lot of people, like you say, are growing fresh herbs, just really doing a lot of new things. So to your point, well noted. So here's the question. What did we learn as a community then from COVID that can actually help us to prepare for the future? Because this is not the first time we've dealt with situations in our history, right, as a people, but what can we learn from this to prepare?
I think there's two things. One, that people don't just want to be talked to or talked at, or, just to get all this. We had an information overload in COVID, and maybe even still now, but folks want to be involved. And I think that that's so important, because we learned that we couldn't get through, organizations couldn't move things forward just on their own, right? Maybe they needed some of their clients' expertise or some feedback from somebody in the community, just realizing that we don't have it all to do on our own. Sometimes folks who we are trying to give information to have resources, have assets, have knowledge, that we might be able to benefit from as well to make our service even better. And I'm saying that specifically around the COVID-19 outreach, right? When it came to it, we really needed community leaders, community-based organizations on our side and on our team to be successful in the work that we are trying to do. So I think that's one thing. The other thing that I think that we've learned and could do better is just realizing that, as far as information, it has to be a comprehensive approach, right? There's lots of opportunities for misinformation to come in. And even today in the world of technology, as you mentioned, I think technology hasn't even stayed the same, right?
Absolutely.
It can be a little deceptive. And the opportunity for misinformation to come in is so great now that we have to be vigilant about how we are putting out information and how, and knowing that folks, as far as information, it's like a sponge, people might soak it up. People, some people are like, I need a little bit more. So you have to cater that information to your audience that you're looking for and realize that folks are at the same time receiving a lot of misinformation as well.
Absolutely. It's the power and the danger of social media. In one aspect, it's a powerful tool because you can amplify a message, but then it becomes a dangerous tool because you have no control over the message that's amplified and who receives it. So let's jump to communities. What special challenges did you become aware of that made it difficult for communities to stay safe? And what can we do to address this? Because it opened up and it peeled back some layers that maybe many community people were aware of, but maybe other groups were not. So what do we do?
Well, I have to say the state of the youth's mental health, right? Yes. And I think that's so critical right now. I think before the pandemic, we knew with youth violence increasing, different things increasing before the pandemic, but even after the pandemic, we see suicide rates are up, right? We have accidental drug overdoses from youth, and we have youth acting out and doing things that I sometimes could not even ever imagine would happen. So just doing things that, I think we have to check on the youth, right? And check on them in a major way. And I would say this also to say that even my eyes were open in a way, like, I'm a mother, right? And I think most of the time we're just thinking, I hope my kid, behaves. I hope that they just, act right, right? And don't necessarily think about their emotions. And, they have real emotions. If I, as an adult, am struggling to deal with being isolated, if I, as an adult, am struggling to reconnect with friends now that the world is back open and to be outside, right? If I'm having that challenge, imagine how our youth are feeling. That's and, right. Dare I say our teenagers, right? Who have all these emotions that are going on, how are they feeling? And I think one thing that we can do differently is to check in with them about their feelings, to check in with them about their emotions. What are they experiencing as challenges? And to validate their challenges as real, right? As I understand, I get it. I understand that you're going through this. How can we work through this? And to not just shrug them off. And I think that that's so important right now because, as much as adults are having a hard time, I think that youth are having it maybe even worse, right? And we really need to check in with them. They are our future. They are, the folks who are going to be, like you said before, when we were offline, taking the baton. And so how are we preparing them to deal with this real world in a way that's not, my son says, faking it. So we're not faking it, we're not, we're being authentic about emotions and realizing that mental health and having mental well-being is something that we need in the workplace, in schools, just at the dinner table, right? We need to check in with one another and say, what are you doing to take care of yourself this week? Or, what kind of challenges have you experienced this week? And what are you doing to overcome those challenges so that we are surfacing those tensions and those things that little people are having and that are so real.
I love it. I love that you brought that up. So what is next in the world of all things Jacquelyn, and how do people follow you, connect with you, and find you? Give us all the details.
Yeah, as far as what's next, honestly, I'm thinking about next week. I have some time off, a little time to rest. So I would say in my immediate future is rest, which we all need. But as far as following me and what's happening next, because like you said, I am involved in a lot of things. There are different opportunities and events coming up. Actually, I will say the NAACP Health Committee is looking to have a Black healthcare provider health fair in North Nashville, where we're bringing out Black healthcare providers into community spaces so that folks can see there are people that look like you that maybe you need to connect with, right? When it comes to, some of the things that we know are happening in the healthcare setting around discrimination based on race, based on gender, just being able to make that real life connection with other healthcare providers. So we're looking at doing that in November. And otherwise, I would say, please follow me on LinkedIn or connect with me on LinkedIn at Jacquelyn S. Dalton. And I'd be happy to connect with you, and you'll be able to see sort of what I'm involved in through that channel.
I love it. Now, how do we get the information on the NAACP? Is there a website? Is there a social media page? What do we do to get that? Or do we just follow you and we'll find it?
Yeah, you can follow me, or you can also stay up to date on the NAACPNashville.org website. And while you're at it, check out that Become a Member tab as well. Shameless plug, NAACP needs you. There's a space for you, and a place for your talent to be used, definitely.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So you can follow Jacquelyn on social media. Just type in her name and she will pop up. We're going to share your information below so people can find you. And if people are looking for that health fair coming up in North Nashville, a community that really does need, right, more resources, we're going to follow you and also look at the NAACP website and also learn about all the work that you're doing on the health committee. And apparently you've heard it first from Jacquelyn. There are some other links that you can click while on the page.
Yes.
Love it. I love it. Is there anything else that you want to share before we conclude today's episode? And I ask you open-endedly, Jacquelyn, because you do so many impactful things. And I do want to preface by saying there's a difference between doing and being productive. And you are and have always been one of those leaders that's been productive. And many people don't understand we become kaleidoscopes, right? Because there are so many skills that we have that can benefit different groups in different ways at the same time, right? So
thank you, Dr. Brown. I look up to you. So to hear that from someone you look up to, it just makes my heart smile. I would say the thing that I would say is check in with yourself on a day-to-day basis, right? If you feel like you need rest, take rest. And that's to make sure that you're there to see another day. Without you being here, there's nothing else that you can contribute to the world, right? So take care of yourself is what I would say.
Oh, I love it. Well, everyone, to our viewers around the world, you've heard it first. Take care of yourself because you matter and your health matters. Now, again, for more information, I want you to follow Jacquelyn S. Dalton. You can check her out on LinkedIn, social media. Do a search and you'll see about all of the amazing things that she is doing. Until next time, please stay healthy, stay safe, and share this message. I'm Dr. Katherine Y. Brown. Until next time, I'll see you soon on the next episode of Wellness Wednesdays. Bye, friends.